Hello and welcome back to the next episode in the series of videos I'm making on Browning 1917A1 belt fed accessories. A couple of episodes ago we did one on ammunition boxes, and this looks like an ammunition box, about the same size, same color, same shape, but it is not an ammunition box. It is actually a spare parts box. So these were issued with the 1917s in World War I, and as by virtue of that, they carried on over into World War II, and we see them in use there. Main difference, identifying from a distance, is the white stripe. It's got white stripe all the way around. That is to make it easily identifiable as the spare parts box and not an ammunition box. In World War I, the machine guns were transported on big wooden machine gun carts, and there were ammunition carts, and there were also spare machine gun parts. And so as they would stack or load the ammunition into these carts, it was very necessary to be able to identify the spare parts box from all of the ammunition. As you can see them in photographs, and they're easily identifiable. So we know they were used in World War I and some in World War II. I did speak to a living Korean War water-cooled machine gunner who came out and did some shooting here. He said he had never seen one of these, but they carried all of their spare parts in their boxes, in their pockets, and in their packs. So let's talk about the contents a little bit. Has the same latch as the ammo boxes, opens up, and on the inside are the spare parts to keep your gun running. Most importantly, there's a complete set of internals. Starting up here at the front, you have a complete bolt with extractor and a complete lock frame. So these are all you got to have if these parts fail in your working machine gun. They're very easily changed from the rear of the machine gun. So as a complete part, ready to go in, ready to fire, as a bolt and a barrel extension. You also have a couple of spare extractors. These are consumable parts that do break on occasion in combat. They're super easy to change out. So all you have to do is rotate it up, pull it straight out. You can lay the broken one off, put a new one in, rotate it, put it back in the firearm, and you're good to go. So a couple of extractors, always a good thing to have in your spare parts box. This is a spare lock frame. This is where the trigger is and the accelerator, and it will actually lock in to, it'll lock in to your barrel extension, and the bolt will ride right along up in there, just like that. So that is a complete set of internals inside the spare parts box, including a spare charging handle. So if there is a major malfunction on your firearm, all of these parts are interchangeable between the 1917, the 1917A1, the 1919A4, and the 1919A6. So this box has lots of uses, and very important. So these are the main items in the box. Another one of the main items that you'll see in here is another one of these little canvas rolls. This is called an M13 tool roll. Spare parts roll, and it has nothing in it but spare parts. And I will insert a photograph, of which all of the photographs in this video come from online sources, either Google or the good guys and my pals over at the 1919A4.com forum. So here in my box, and we'll pull these out. Now these are in there real snug. They're kind of a pain to get out. But this is your tool roll. The contents of the tool roll, as you saw in the photograph, we have firing pin, spare firing pin spring, top cover spring, top cover, the feed lever for the feed pawl, pin for the belt holding pawl on the side. You have the small parts box. That was my dog shaking a collar rattling. With a spare driving mainspring in it. Yet another extractor. An accelerator. And way over here, another charging handle. A complete top slide feed assembly. Now in that other pocket right there, we'll talk about it in just a second. In this small parts pouch, we have lots of smaller pieces. These are going to be sear springs, top cover, pivot pins, more sears, buffer tubes for the back grip, a spare sear. These are the pins for the accelerator and the breech block, and they all go inside this one little pouch. The one piece that was missing out of that roll, because I can't get the box to close with it in there, is the small parts tube. These are really rare. This is a reproduction. I don't have an original, because when you find them, they're like $200. It's a little cardboard tube, and of course they don't last long. But in it are other small parts and pieces that could otherwise get lost. There's also supposed to be a dozen of those little springs, but they're like hen's teeth. I can't find them. But one of these days I'll come across them. But a spare parts tube for small parts, pins, and springs. In the front here, we have another one of the 3-ounce gun oil bottles for lubricating the workings. We have another M6 combination wrench, just like in the armorer's tool roll, for taking the gun apart. In this little place, I don't take these out. These are for, this is the asbestos windings, the little cord that you have to put around the groove in the barrel in the trunnion and in the front of the barrel behind the muzzle gland, and this is what keeps the water in the water-cooled, in the water jacket of your machine gun. I don't take these out. These are the original asbestos windings. And if we do a video in the future on how to pack your water-cooled gun, we'll use an alternative source besides the asbestos. There's a spare pair of grips to go on the handle of the machine gun. There's a spare cork to go on the cork assembly that goes in the front where the steam condensing device can be plugged when it is in transport so your water don't run out. So this is new old stock. It's still in the cosmoline and it is very gooey. But this is also something that you possibly would have found in here. This is that cosmoline. That is some nasty stuff. This is the blank fire adapter to go on the front of the gun. Got one small hole in the end. This is for allowing the gases to escape when you're blank firing. And this is the blank fire spacer, wrapped up in cosmoline now, because the M1909 blanks are blunt on the front And this is to take up the space that the projectile would have been to get the proper spacing for it to be withdrawn from the belt. So these the spare parts box is a little known and rarely shown part of the water-cooled machine gun. But there should be also a leather funnel, a leather and brass funnel for putting water in the water jacket. I don't have one of those. It is one of the things that I'm looking. But when I do display this, the spare parts box is an integral part of the display and also a very important part of a complete Browning machine gun collection. So I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you learned a few things. In the next video, I think we'll talk about some of the canvas items, the spare barrel covers, gun covers, cradle covers, and things like that you'll see beyond the spare parts rolls, the armorer's roll, and the tool rolls, just some of the more useful canvas items. So if you stuck with me this long, I do appreciate your time and I appreciate your attention. Hope you've learned something, and I look forward to making future videos for you. God bless.